to ALBOM45's video on our Post Production Studio sampler. There's a lot of questions in that first statement. One, what is ALBOM45? Well, ALBOM45 is a company that does many things. We actually are a commercial printer and finisher. We also offer artworking services, so if you're stuck and you can't work out your resolutions from your bleeds, we help people with that as a gateway into manufacturing. We'll work with your manufacturers, or we can suggest manufacturers, and sometimes we even manufacture ourselves. We do a little bit of fulfillment as well, but really at the heart of what we do is our post-production studio, which is question number 2. What is a post-production studio? Chances are you've never heard of one because we titled it. We don't know anyone else that does what we do, and we spent a long time scratching our heads on what we do as a name for it, and it's actually exactly what it says. We adorn and decorate product that's already been made. It already exists, it's already been assembled. It's difficult to process things once they're in a 3-dimensional state as a box, or with various other materials in. Suddenly it narrows your choices down on how to process those products. And we've naturally progressed into this. We help a lot of people out with really weird scenarios that most commercial printers won't even quote you. They don't want to touch it. It's quite dangerous because, you know, there are always risks and caveats and things like that. But we love it. We absolutely love it. And it makes us this sort of creative studio and think tank with follow through. We actually carry out the tasks. What you're about to see is a sampler that we've made, because a lot of the work we do we can't really sing about, or don't sing about, because we value our B2B clients. We work for a lot of manufacturers, we work for record labels, and we work for a few board game suppliers and Kickstarter companies, and there's always a shroud of secrecy on how on earth did you do that. We don't do all of it, by all means in the world. Lots of people do bits and pieces like that, but we are certainly one of the only places that dare to go, okay, tell us your idea and let's see how we do it. So what you need to bear in mind as you watch this video is we have various things that we've bought in, made as a standard item that we sell. We'll go through that in a little bit with the product, with what it is. And then there's things that we make and that we add to it, or we take away, or there's devices, and that's what we've done to an existing thing. In this itself, it's a vinyl record package. We don't just work with vinyl records. We do some very specialist things with vinyl records, which we'll reveal later. But one of the things that we like about it as a sampler, and why we chose it, is it's affordable to post. It's a reasonable size to get to you, and it's got lots and lots of layers that we could do lots of different things with. So you have front and back of an outer sleeve, front and back of an inner sleeve. We've got a plastic sleeve in there. We've got an OB strip. We'll explain that if you don't know what it is in a minute. And then we've got a mailer. So it's what we would almost call a golden onion. It's got so many layers that it gave us the opportunity to do lots of things to it, but give them enough space to breathe so that you can see. You would not do all of these things to a single product outside of what we're using it for. You would usually pick 1 or 2 things. Now, it may be a vinyl record, but we do also ask you to keep an open mind. We do this to all sorts of things. We can work on any paper, cardboard, plastic. We can manage 3D items, boxes, things like that. So it applies to lots of things. So if you are suddenly thinking, oh my god, he's got a vinyl record on the go and this has nothing to do with me, please bear with us, have a look at and generate the ideas off the back of what this is. This is really what this is for. It's an idea generator. We invite you to talk to us about it, and we'll see how we realise it. The absolute golden message here is we do this to existing stock. If you've got stock and you work in an industry which requires limited editions or specialties, we can boost stock you already have which means you're not having to do the whole process all over again. So bear that in mind as we have a look through, and we'll do a little walkthrough over the sampler, and we'll start explaining it bit by bit as we unlay out our little onion here and explain what we've done. So the first thing you get if you've received this through a post is the mailer box. You can see it is a box, and these are bought-in boxes. We actually looked at making them ourselves, but quite often, and as we know with a commercial awareness to things, buying 5,000 of these on a pallet and having nowhere really to put them is just not feasible, and you would have to buy that quantity if you were having cutters made and making it all yourself. We had some ideas that we really wanted to do, but it's just not viable. We don't want to be storing them, so we bought the mailer. It is a bought vinyl record mailer, and then like most things we've adapted it since. Immediately on the outside you can see we've put a nice print on it, and you can see some custom tape. Now the print, this and the other side, is a metallic silver. It's very shiny, it's got a nice reflection to it, and they were printed flat because they come flat. So for us, this is, you know, it's our screen print department. Nice and simple. Bring them in, print them up, off they go. And you can just see, and we'll flip it over in a minute, some custom tape on here. This we print ad hoc ourselves. We've set up some printers that do it for ourselves, and it's a nicety. We don't print custom tape for people as per se. You would need to print quite a lot of it if you want it. We can organise all of that for you, though unless you're bundling up thousands of packages a month, it doesn't become worth it. So let's flip it over, and you can see more of our custom tape, and you can also see the other two prints on here. Two prints because we printed one and then the other to ensure there is enough space for the tape, and they're either side of the things. Again, it's in our metallic silver. We designed this to be able to have the postage label incorporated into it, and the tape has enough space to breathe down the middle. As well as the print, there's two adaptations to the box. We'll show you the first by opening it up. We have no risk here and here, and you'll have seen quite often tape has no knife written on it. We didn't want to ruin our tape, so what we did was we put a little reinforcer right down the middle of the box on the inside, so you can't harm the record. This sits underneath and the product inside is safe. The other adaptation we made was we've inserted our little business card here, and it's actually into the package itself. It's not a very difficult customization at all. We've just split it with a knife, and that goes into every single one that we see. Now, one thing that's missing from this product is our record is not wrapped in tissue paper. Please don't fret on the video, it is white tissue paper with a little sticker in the middle of it. It's just to protect the record, and it's a lot nicer for opening for those that have received the record, and makes it a much more special event. It feels like you're really holding something of value when you have tissue paper in. No idea why, it's a little bit like when you're holding a sticker, you can't help but stick it on something. So that's our mailer. Like we said, it's a bought-in mailer. We chose it over many mailers because it was nice and rigid and it housed our product really well, and it looks after it in the post, but also it doesn't take up an obscene amount more space than the record. So moving on, we're going to have a good look at the product itself and do a very quick overview. We'll put the mailer to one side. We'll have a look at what you first see. So we call it our onion because it's got lots of layers in. Right in the heart of this is a vinyl record, the actual product. Then that's in an inner sleeve, which is printed. That's then in an outer sleeve, which is printed, which is wrapped around by a little obi strip down here. And we'll explain that in a minute. And then it's got a polypropylene sleeve on the outside. Some of it's plastic, some of it's paper, some of it's card, some of it's PVC, some of it's sensitive, some of it's not. There's a lot of bits and pieces, and we're hoping that it shows a lot of resistant materials in here. We're quite keen to work with plastics and the like. We research all of these things very thoroughly if they're new to us, but equally we've got a huge bank of knowledge on how to print plastic, what it will take, how it cures, all of those sort of things. First thing we're going to go over is the polypropylene sleeve. We're going to take the whole product apart and we'll do it bit by bit until we get right down to the middle of the onion. So first up, we're just going to give you a good look, hopefully if my camera skills are good, at the actual print image, and you can have a good look and see about that. Then we're going to start de-sleeving everything. We're going to take the sleeve and the AV strip out, and just to demonstrate that our polypropylene sleeve is very flexible and that the print is very resistant to scratches and whatnot. We don't use UV print or anything for things like pressing these sleeves. You can do it in this modern world, everyone's got a UV printer. We use old-fashioned methods and we use proper solvent inks that will stand the test of time. We want you to be able to take this out. Your product needs to live for as long as the product wants to, and our print will stay the same. We can print these on PVC as well, polyethylene, various other plastics. We have an arsenal as long as our arm of plastics and different inks. They can be flexible, rigid. We have ways to do them, but yeah, even if you've got a plastic window, we can probably even print that. There's just different inks and different ways to set it up. So yeah, if you're looking at plastic printing, give us a shout and we'll go over all the ins and outs. It is important you understand what your plastic is, otherwise we're all doing a lot of research and development, but equally we can help you there as well. So now the polypropylene sleeve's been covered, we're going to have a look at the package on the whole again. It's important because all the layers have a relation to each other. So before we focus on the AV strip, we just want to talk about its relationship with the outer sleeve. Of course, one of the most obvious things is we have a record arm here and it does move all the way over, and depending on how the camera picks this up, I'm hoping it picks up a record on the lenticular with the earth. Again, we'll talk more about this in a minute. Let's just focus on the AV strip and its relationship with the outer sleeve. If we open the AV strip up, it is hiding a cutout on the outer sleeve, and that's very deliberate. Of course, we got to design this start to finish, so there's some really happy coincidences in our sample. However, you may look at a record that you already have or some form of packaging that can reveal something on the inside, and that's where we would come in and say, right, well, we can cut it out so that you can see something on the inside, or we can cut it out and we can put something coming through on the inside. We can have anything that reveals it, some form of AV strip or something that a client takes away. We like mechanics. People like mechanics. We like to be able to move things, touch things, open things, and that's very important. It's something that we have a passion about. Again, if I turn it over, going back to the relationships of these two, you can see that we have a little punch out here and it reveals our barcode down the bottom. Quite often in the music industry, the AV strip can contain a special edition barcode or something, but if you want to show the other barcode out, sometimes it's just a bit nicer to cut it out or reveal some detail in the sleeve, something like that. So to separate the two, we'll get to the exciting stuff of the outer sleeve in a minute. We're going to have a good look at our AV strip, so I'm going to remove the outer sleeve and we're going to have a really good look at what our AV strip actually consists of. So this is our AV strip. An AV strip is essentially a piece of card with a fold down it and it wraps around the side of something. Could be a CD, record. We've done some for card collecting games on Kickstarters and things like that. Something that holds together, but it is a separate thing altogether. But you have to remember it starts off as a printed piece of card. This is digitally printed and then it's trimmed out. The first thing we actually did to it is we radiused these outside corners because we like a organic feel to things, and our 1960s, 70s plastic record player. Back then they did like putting little radius corners on bits and pieces. If you think about Americana and the Memphis styles, all of that came into play. Along with that, you also had lots of metalwork, and we'll move on to this little badge at the top here. This is anodized aluminium that's been etched. It's not a printed piece, it's actually been chemically etched. It all starts black and then you etch away the black so that you reveal the silver. And it's nice, it's thin, it's weighty, but it's thin enough to sit on the card, and it's just a nice addition. We do lots of things with metalwork. We can do etched, we can do CNC'd, we can do printed, we can do all sorts of bits, and we also advise people on safety precautions. You'll notice this is all radiused as well, 1 for style, but 2 so that it doesn't hurt your fingers. This is a finished product, it's not going to do anybody any damage, which is the last thing you want your product to do. So onto the record arm. Now the record arm was probably one of the first things we thought about in this sampler. We thought it would be funny if we could incorporate record playing into a record, and we're really thrilled that we have. Its relationship with the outer sleeve is very obvious and very enjoyable. One thing to note, and if you've got our insert and you've probably read the upside down text on it, there is a bone of contention with the design of this, and you're probably staring at it thinking the same thing, which is, why is all of this upside down? Well, truth be told, you need to compromise when you do certain things, and when we started designing this, we really wanted the orientation of the outer sleeve to have the world and the record lenticular at the bottom and the title at the top. Once you've laid that out and you've decided on that, you need to work out how the mechanics of your fake record player works. And we realised that we could put the record arm fixed up here and facing down, but when putting it into the polypropylene sleeve, it would constantly get caught. And our sample does have some things you have to be careful with when packing up, but this was a bad one. This was going to be awful. So we knew that the pivot point needed to be down here. This is where we all started getting into a debate, because a record player works this way. If the pivot is up here, the front of the player is here. However, on our record, that means that everything would be upside down. It eventually got into the point where we flipped a coin and we continued this way. The people that we've talked to, watching them try and put it all back together, most people are getting confused because they want to put the print the right way round and can't remember which side it goes on and all other things. These are things to consider when you put stuff together. We find it very funny that our sampler has this uniqueness to it, but equally I think if we did it again we'd still do it the same way. We still believe that a record player mechanics should be as they are, and we wanted the outer sleeve to be a certain way, and this is the relationship the two have. So the arm itself is made out of recyclable plastics. It's cut out, and then we have these super gloss graphics on top of it, which are tactile. I know it's hard to see in the video, but they are tactile and you can run your fingers along them. They're kind of almost like the old-fashioned Damien graphics, but they bring that tactile nature the same as the badge does. People want to feel things. People use this a lot for spot gloss on standard print, or even embossing and using metallic inks and foils. They want to be able to have something tactile. Books nowadays have a beautiful amount of embossing and foiling and things on them, and I spend ages in bookshops just having a look at what the trends are and what people are doing with their covers. So this is all pivoted in, and the pivot, if you have one of our samples, you can feel the little pivot underneath the graphic there. It's pushing the graphic up, and they're all custom made in-house. We've worked the mechanics out to make that pivot work through the card and hold on to our plastic. Turning the whole thing over, you can see our record player continue with the old-fashioned leather strap handle. And this was inspired by some of those old record box carriers that you get. You can actually imagine how tight that handle can be underneath there. And down at the bottom, our punch out, because we had control of the graphics on the inside, we've lined up our QR code to poke through the view hole. just because it's a lot neater than anything else. It shows that we've actually thought about what comes through which layer where. These onion layers are very important, and if you can have more than one interaction with them, or one layer interacts with itself, it makes the journey so much more enjoyable. Up here you'll see a few little slits in a different colour on here. We'll now reveal that on the inside of this, it is our 3D anaglyph glasses. Now this was the neatest way we could think of to house the glasses. We've known that there are a lot of CDs and vinyl out there that have anaglyph graphics on them. Quite often all of it is anaglyph graphics. Now one thing that we know about these is the glasses are usually thrown in, so we decided that with our baby strip, if we were going to go down this anaglyph art route, we wanted to make sure our glasses were a fixed point. Now they comprise of two things wrapped into the AB strip. The first thing is this cellophane wrap. Now post-COVID years and all of that, we like to have the glasses continually wrapped. There's no reason why you don't have to have it anymore. You can just quite easily have it slid on. And we also realised that to get the glasses in and out, it needs a little bit of instruction. So the plastic wrap has a print on it that shows you to pull it up, twist the glasses 90 degrees, and then pull them upwards again. So we pull them up, we twist them 90 degrees, and we pull them up again, and the glasses are out. We emboss them with our logo, so again you can have tactile features so that people can really feel that there are high quality goods going on in there. Now there's a question of why anaglyph and what does our QR code do. We chose anaglyph 3D graphics for the AB strip as a window into our AR function for this product. And we're not going to talk about it too long. There's a whole page about the AR function for this product, and you access that page through here. But we thought historically the best virtual reality we could think of, or the earliest instances of it, was this anaglyph 3D projected drawing. And you know, when we were all younger, this was the highlight of a magazine, or you just jumped at the fact that these glasses were attached to the front of something because you knew something magical was going to happen. Of course, technology's come a long way, and the other side to this sampler is very technology ridden, and if you follow this you can get to a browser based AR program which shows you all sorts of fun things that the sample interacts with when you hover your phone over it. Same as all of these apps where they put bunny ears on people's faces and such like. It's the same sort of deal, but we think it's underused in products and we think you can do a lot more with it. Our AR program features videos, 3D models, music and sounds, motion, all that sort of stuff. Just as an introduction to, we can do all of this stuff. What's your idea? What do you want to do? And again, it's applicable to all sorts of products. You see many products nowadays where you can even go shopping for a kettle and project it into your kitchen just so you know what it looks like on your counter. Make it look as simple as we've made it. So my film goes on, and these two little cutouts up here, take the arm back in, and that's the AB strip all put away. So we're going to leave that and we're going to move on to the outer sleeve. So bringing the product back in now, we go back to where we were before, and this is now looking quite a lot different with no graphics here. The AB strip's disappeared and we can see our cutter down here. Now before I start talking about all the features of this record sleeve is a standard product of ours. We sell record sleeves. It's got a 3mm spine, it is all folded up neatly, and this is reverse board. Those that don't know what reverse board means, it means we print on the uncoated, slightly more textured side of the board that absorbs more ink, and it's a much more matted finish. Now the bit that's really important about our record sleeves is they are digitally printed on a HP Indigo, which is a relatively new form of printing, and if you've ever had print from one before, quite often they look quite worn. The print wears under friction quite quickly, so you get lots and lots of kind of balding spots around here. With ours, we seal it the same way lithographic printers do, to make sure that that doesn't happen and that it stands the test of time. If you're interested, you can log on to our website and you can see all the prices for the sleeves, and you can even buy from our shop, and we'll go through the artwork with you. We'll have your sleeves made up and off we go. The inner sleeve is also one of ours, and it is a coated gloss finish, so it's the opposite to this. It's the other side of the card, more traditional, and you can see the contrast between them when you hold them in your hands. So the first thing we're going to do is discuss this lenticular. Lenticulars aren't new, they've been around for a long time. We do a lot of work with lenticulars, to be honest. Big ones, small ones, different amounts of images, different types of images, all of those sorts of things. So there are lots of options. As on here is a 2-image flip, and it flips horizontally, which means when you tilt the horizontal axis like this, it changes. You can have the same thing and it go vertically. Obviously you're just changing the orientation of bits and pieces. You can have up to 3 images in that. 3 images move quite fast compared to the 2-image. You can't control which image you see where, it just cycles through. Or you can do all sorts of fun things with 3D remnants of it, where you can see things projecting in and out. Some of those sort of classic DVD cases from the wonderful people at Disney tend to have that sort of thing on. But if you are looking at these, they can be applied onto the front or side or back of just about anything, and we can help you there. So give us a shout if you're looking at lenticulars. We think they're great. They're just such a good value in a product. It really makes you think you're holding something special as soon as you open it. Moving on then to the cutout on the front. Now again, remember that this sleeve existed before that cutout was there. So if you were doing a product run of 500 but wanted 20 to 50 special ones, you wouldn't want to be paying for a die cutter to cut this out. It's really expensive. You spent a lot of money before you've even made one. We can do them one at a time. They are laser cut. We have a laser department that can do cutting out of almost anything. We need to know what it was, obviously, before you start. But we can do them 10, 20, we can even do 1 if you'd like. And we can cut out boxes and card sniffers, paper, all of that sort of stuff we can do. And we'll advise you through the intricacy and the stencil nature of things, make sure your whole thing doesn't fall apart, etc. Now, just to demonstrate, we're going to pull the inner sleeve out, and we'll get to the rest of the inner sleeve in a bit, but we are just going to flip it over and demonstrate the extra dimension that this has. And suddenly you can change what your outer sleeve looks like by putting something else behind it. And these are our maps showing through, which we'll explain when we get to the inner sleeve. The beautiful thing about this is you get alternatives for your sleeve. The record format lends itself very well to it, and we really like playing with it. The other thing you can do is, rather than having it show something that's contained on the inside, we can mount things underneath it. We've done furs and animal prints and things like that. We can have that as a permanent addition coming out. Lots of board games and things utilise this now, and Kickstarter campaigns do it a lot too. Next, we're going to have a look, and we're going to turn the sleeve over, and we have 2 tricks on the back here. The first thing is, this area here is rub reveal. We'll explain that in a second. And that rub reveal is covered by a high gloss laminate. Now, the high gloss laminate is important for several things. The first thing is the rub reveal substrate underneath is not the best finish in the world. It's very easy to scuff and scratch, and we would always suggest sealing it. It's very matte. It's kind of like a chalkboard, really. So once you put a scuff in it, it's there. The rub reveal can be sealed like this with our laminate, or with a spot gloss, or a spot matte, or anything else that's see-through, really. There's lots of options. It depends really what you're getting at. We've deliberately gone for a laminate that looks really shiny and highly reflective. Hopefully you can see my fingers in it as I wiggle them about, and you can probably see bits of our environment here reflecting in it, because it's a space helmet, and our matte finish sleeve, which is our uncoated sleeve, has a really high contrast to it. Equally, I'm sure the camera can pick up, you can just see the edge of the rub reveal as you go around the outside, because we've made sure it's covered completely. Now the rub reveal itself. Rub reveal has been around for a long time, and if I just rub down the centre here, you will gradually see my image reveal itself. And what this is doing is the heat is causing the ink to change, and it shows the print underneath. There's various things at play here. If you want to cover things up, you need a lot of layers of the stuff. And sometimes, particularly in a cold environment, rubbing can take a long time. We find that the best thing to do is to show it with a hairdryer, and it's quite magical, and you get to see the whole thing reveal in front of your eyes, and then gradually it will cool down. So with a bit of luck, I'll be able to dull the noise of the hairdryer down when we render this video out, but I'll just show you now. And there you have it, our token gesture to the Grateful Dead skull with the ALBOM45 logo. And it's important to remember that that skull is printed on the sleeve with black, and then we've covered it up. Rub reveal can also come in several colours, where you get one colour changing to another colour. You can use it for lots and lots of different things, and it's really fun. It's just good fun to play with. We really like concealing graphics like this, and having a nice surprise when people can interact with the sleeve. Any interaction with a product in a place where you wouldn't normally interact is always a good idea. There we go. Now it's cooled down, it's gone totally back to black, and you can start seeing reflections of such things in it again. So you get two tricks really. You get the reflective nature, and then you get the graphic underneath once you actually warm it up. We were going to play around with our polyprop sleeve and put a little fish in there as well, but you have to draw a line somewhere, and that's where we drew it. Maybe in the future, maybe the next wave of samples in a few years' time, we might think about putting an extra few fish in just to make sure we reference them. So we're going to remove the inner sleeve now, and that's the outer sleeve taken care of. Now the natural way for the inner sleeve to come out is this way, which is quite deliberate. So we're going to go over it first before we get to the other side. So here we have our inner sleeve. Our inner sleeve again is all assembled before we've done any of this, and is our coated sleeve with that varnish on the top to make sure that it doesn't end up looking worn out well before it's time. It's really important to remember that it's made up, because the first thing we're going to talk about is this foil here, and everyone's seen foil before. It's widely used in print. However, we've done it onto a made up product without affecting the other side here. That's really important because it's a very different process to what you would normally have when you foil on flat sheets. It's also got a nice feel to it. It's debossed slightly. You know, there's a good pressure in there. It becomes that tactile thing again, where it's just nice to hold stuff. And it sits on the shoulder of our artist here. Now, those of you that have seen George Ezra's cover, The Gold Rush Kid, that was sort of inspirational for this inner sleeve, and quite often on inner record sleeves you get this sort of image of the artist of some kind. Of course, ours is nondescript, we have no idea who she is, but we're not all Bewitched fans, but clearly there's probably denim on denim and denim going on here. And we started to basically go, well, we can adorn the jacket, let's just do that. And if it's a typical idea of this sort of composition, this worked very well for our outer sleeve. So we've tried to come up with a natural idea of how these things work. Moving on down the page, we've got a stitched and a printed patch. Now, those that don't know us, we also do garment printing and things like that. We actually grew up on that. We cut our teeth on printing t-shirts. It's how we got into the whole world in the first place. We've done it in various different guises for local areas that we've lived, and all sorts of technology. it's a wonderful industry. It really makes you think sometimes about how to do something, and it's taught us all sorts of bits and pieces. Now these patches are removable, and they're removable, and this is important, without leaving any sticky residue. We accomplish this by a graphic underneath them and some more of our gloss laminate that is from the rub reveal print, but they contain a graphic underneath, and we're going to reveal that to you now, and we'll show you how easy it is just to remove these, remove the adhesive, and even put it back on. So first we'll take up our woven patch. Nice and easy to reveal our first little graphic underneath, which we call halo graphics because they're raised. You can feel it, and you get a nice little air round around them. And then we'll take this one off. This one sounds snappier because it's got iron-on adhesive on the back, so that is an iron-on patch. This is a stitch-on patch. And now you can see our little halo graphics, which we believe is quite unique. We don't really see anyone else do them. They're good fun. There are limitations to detail, but it basically means that you can have a platform that can house things without damaging the sleeve. And if your end user wants to use these patches, which you would hope that they do, they still get something on the sleeve. It's still left there. These little glue dots with the gloss on the other side, really easy to take off. A little bit like blue tack sometimes, and you can just get all of that off. It's nice and clean, and it's not going to stick to the outer sleeve later on. Just again, you can just see those halos coming in. And if we want to put them back on, we just fasten them down. Now I've taken that off, I'll show you using the printed sleeve, but there's a record still in there, and that is strong enough to lift that up. It's not going to go anywhere. There you go. I am doing it carefully, but it is a lot of strength in there. Moving on to the other side. As we saw earlier, we have our maps down here, and our OS map shows several things. One, we can put supplied things onto stuff. These are used OS maps. We like to reuse and recycle where we can, and they add a new dimension. And I'll hold it up to the camera in a minute because it's basically laminated onto the sleeve with a load of creasing in, and we've deliberately layered this up by hand so that you get texture and it looks like a worn map that it's worn in, and again it's got that tactile thing. If you wanted something smooth down there and to laminate that, that's fine, we can do that as well. We can basically show that we can encapsulate an object onto another. It can be textiles, it can be papers, it can be cards, it can be plastics. We'd work that out, and it's all trimmed nice and flush all around the outside, just to show you that texture. Hopefully I've got that in the right space for the camera, and you get that tactile feeling. The second part of this is our little drawer up here. The rest of the design on the sleeve, again, it's like the other side. We tried to think about what a inner sleeve on a record would look like, and we've got some nice lyrics here from I Need That Record by the Tweeds. It's a song we discovered actually a while ago, and it's not a particularly popular song, but it made sense for our sample because it had all that. Again, up here as well, we put some little token gestures. We've got Songs to Treasure up here with a little arrow that points you to the drawer handle. And if you can see that drawer handle has a gloss overlay on it. So again, you've got some spot gloss impact on the whole product. And with that, we pick up the handle and we can pull out and reveal our drawer and our Songs to Treasure. We like a good cheesy joke here. And our treasure map is definitely something to treasure. Essentially, we do pop-ups and reveal slots and things like that for all sorts of bits and pieces, and we do it in such a way that we keep the integrity of the existing piece. So on the inside here, although we're not going to show you because it's quite difficult to see, the whole pocket and everything that is generated for this has a whole layer on the inside that covers it up around like that. So there's no impact to the record, there's no damage to the record. The integrity of the sleeve is still kept, there's no weakness anywhere. Equally, the drawer itself is a self-contained piece. It's all, if you were to feel it, and if you have one of our samples, it's quite a stiff thing. it's definitely something that feels good in the hand. So lastly, on the inner sleeve, this is our treasure map. The treasure map's really important. Firstly, for what it's made out of. This is an imitation leather. It's not real leather, which means it's suitable for vegans and vegetarians alike, which we do a lot of work for places where that is highly valued, and they want to make sure that card and paper stock and things are FFC approved, sustainable materials, nothing hurts animals. This, you can get all of the textures of leather, but in a non-leather form. And we actually really like it because it's a really versatile product. You can draw onto it, glue it, scratch it. You can do almost anything you like paper or card, but it always comes out with these different finishes, and it's wonderful. This is actually laser etched, and again, you can feel the tactileness of it. You can feel all of the little kind of etched lines in it. I'll show it up to the camera. It doesn't really show very much unless we get a nice highlight on it. So I'll just try and move it around, but it might be futile. I'll glance over it at editing. But it really is beautiful. And this is our second QR code. You remember the first one from the anaglyph that takes you to the AR? This one brings you to this video. We're a sappy bunch, and we were like, well, Songs to Treasure needs to lead you to treasure, and really from our point of view, the treasure is the sample, is, you know, how you can have a tactile, coherent product that you can make better all the time. And if you follow that and you get to this video, and then afterwards you follow the AR, we won't ruin the ending for you. But if you use the AR on the record, there's a nice reveal there which adds to the whole story. So that's our inner sleeve. The next part of the sample is the vinyl record itself, and we said earlier, you don't have to be making vinyl records to enjoy it. You don't even need to be a record collector to enjoy it. If you're not in the vinyl industry and you don't make these for a living, it's still relevant because we show that we can print onto PVC to a degree that doesn't hurt the audio. And with records, anyone that's ever tried to do anything crazy with a record will tell you you can destroy the audio pretty quickly. It's very sensitive, it's nanoscopic, it's magical for us. We are all vinyl lovers, and the fact that that needle can generate something that's been recorded with such accuracy is quite amazing. So I'm going to try and reveal this out the way that we intended it to be, where we pull out the top part first, and you can see our pirate ship emerging. And as we go further, we see other bits and pieces. Now, to explain slightly, this is a one-sided record. This side of the record with the label is playable. The other side of the record is not playable. It's a 12-inch record, it's just got audio on one side, the other side is blank to have all of the aesthetics put on. Putting aesthetics onto a record that is double-sided is essentially a picture disc, and that's something you can just order from your plant. What we were interested in is creating something that was truly unique, and 2 out of 3 of these aspects on the record are completely unique. The first thing is the label. Now, we know that this is a post-production studio, but the label was actually used at the creation of the record. This is not a sticker, it is a true vinyl record label, which those of you that don't know, vinyl record labels are not stickers. They are 2 bits of paper that are put in a press and compressed to make the record. And trying to have the label survive can be quite difficult. Industry-wide, they use a special blueback paper, and every plant uses essentially the same paper. And that paper is special because it's sealed so that it doesn't stick to the stamper tooling when you make the record. We have 2 firsts in our label. One, it's not that paper. And the fact that it's not that paper but still works is quite amazing. Those that are in vinyl will understand how amazing it is when we say you don't need to bake that paper first. Those that aren't, when you get your labels, they are put in an air dryer, usually for at least an hour, sometimes longer depending on the ink levels, to try and get the labels to the right moisture content first. Our labels do not require that process. You can just chuck them on press, done. The next part of this is that they're die cut. By that we mean they're shaped. The die cut is a wonderful thing. You can really play with some bits and pieces, as long as for a 12 inch it's within 100 millimeters and for a 7 inch it's within 87 millimeters. Then it's never going to affect your grooves around the outside. So you've got a certain amount of real estate in here that you have to stick to. The die cut's great, but you cannot use a die cut label on an automatic machine unless it's a full circle. All automatic machines use suction cups to pick up labels, and if it was to try and pick this up, the suction cup would miss and it would fall out. What that means for record labels and manufacturers is it has to go on a semi-automatic or a manual press. They're the same thing. It basically means that an operator is putting everything together. That's usually used for your splatter effects or half and halves, 3 colours, 4 colours, anything that requires the plastics to be mixed up by hand. And that is a price point industry-wide. It's not on an automatic machine. To explain the difference, an automatic machine will give you twice as many records a day as a manual machine with a person on it. So when you're looking at our die cut labels, they're great. We have a lot of people that have interest for them for their test pressings, because they can have quite a funky idea on the test pressing. But for main run, it's important to remember that they are set up to be a limited edition thing. If you were having splatter, for example, you could do your 300 splatter, and 20 of them could have these special labels on to be a special edition of some kind. You can use them to really generate more refined special editions within your special editions, which seems to be what the industry is very good at nowadays. Now, on the rear are the graphics behind the record. The top part is a screen printed record. It's nothing new, they exist. We have a whole system here where we screen print records without affecting the quality of the audio. And with that, it's important to know that the ink that's used on PVC creates a thermal reaction, and so you can't just print and stack them up and leave them to it. It can get warm, then the audio gets affected, and what we call floor noise particularly can get affected. That's when you listen to a record quite loud in the silent gaps, and you can hear a rotation, and it's usually the image. Our records don't have that to any degree. They're all good. We're quite happy for your audiophile to have a listen to this and check out the silent bits and see if they can hear any of the image coming through, and they won't. We've refined the process over a number of years, and screen printed records are slowly becoming a little bit of our bread and butter. We can take them from plant on spindle, we can take them in paper inners and deliver them back. We can even do the assembly of your product if you end up short-handed here, if you sent everything to us. We can do all those sorts of bits and pieces. So if you're interested in screen print records being done in the UK, by all means give us a shout. I'm going to turn it over in a minute. This is a matte ink, so on the front it all looks glossy because it's a gloss record, but on the back is black matte, and you'll see the contrast between that and the other graphic, which is what we'll move on to now. So the other graphic is a full colour graphic, and it's double-sided so that you can see things coming through this side as well as the other side, and it's very playful. We have notes here at this point in the video to explain that this is a very expensive process, so you wouldn't be doing it with thousands of records at all. Each one has to be meticulously done, but again, it's something that we've not seen before in the industry. And if you have a clear record, obviously you get all the colour through. If you had a trans blue or a trans pink, obviously it would affect the colour. So really, crystal clear records are the way to go with that sort of thing. But they are expensive. If you're interested, please talk to us and we'll guide you through what we think would be best for what you're trying to achieve. but what it does do is it gets around the whole fact that screen printed records tend to be one colour. They're one colour because if you ever see records come off a press, none are the same size. The centre hole and things can move a little bit depending on the trim and everything else, so trying to register something to get more than one colour is difficult. You can do a screen print where you can screen print this. We can then screen print a base coat of white and then screen print another image, but you're still talking about one colour either side with a blanket of white in. Again, we can talk about options if you're interested, but yeah, screen printing does have its limitations with colour. This opens up the idea that you can have full colour. And when we turn it over, it reveals that on the other side, you can even have it come out over hiding behind the label. And we really like playing with this. This was good fun. We did the matte ink on here because it's a high contrast to the gloss finish of our full colour graphic. And if you can see, I'll try and show it out to the camera again. With a bit of luck, you can see it has a relief to it. It's got a 3D relief. So again, it's tactile. The screen print's also tactile. The matte actually helps quite a lot. But this is definitely a raise all the way around. You can feel every little bump on it. And it was so much fun to do. But yeah, if you're interested in these, talk to us. We'll guide you through the commercials of it and how all that sort of stuff works. And again, screen printed, depending on what you're doing, we can guide you through that. We can take a clear record and you can have a series of screen prints in various colours and whatnot. And that's our vinyl. Again, if you're not in vinyl, note that we've done all that and taken so much care over the record itself that all the audio still works, nothing's been affected, and we've developed those systems to be sure. As a side note, the audio on here, if you have a copy, it's not the nicest music in the world. Some of it is, but what it is actually intended for is to help vinyl operators work through troubleshooting on their machines and see hotspots, cold pot, if their steam's working, if their coolant's working, and things like that. It was developed by Stamper Disc Limited, who are great. If you've never heard of them, then and you're in vinyl, you should probably look them up. And it was designed for that. So there's lots of dynamic, there's lots of silence on it, there's lots of different tones and things being used, but it is not a coherent audio disc. You're welcome to play it, but I would suggest that it's probably not everyone's cup of tea for a Sunday afternoon's listening. But if you do have audio files on board and you've got people who highly criticise audio, by all means put our sample through the test. And if you don't have one, request one from us because we always like feedback as well. So now we're at the heart of our onion, and that's the very, very inner layer revealed. We're just going to touch slightly on our insert, which is the written version of this video really. If you receive a sample, then you can have a look at it. And this is a very simple digitally printed insert that we have explaining all the little bits and pieces. But the one thing that we did do to it, because we can't help ourselves but customise something, is these radius corners are all put on here post-production. So after the printer work had arrived with us, we had a good look at it and we cut these curves all of ourselves. It doesn't sound like a very complicated thing to do, but it adds a lot of value to something. As far as we know, we've never seen an insert that looks like this before, and it just adds a little bit more to the package for you when you open it up. So now we're going to reassemble our onion and just go through everything briefly backwards. We'll start with our record with the die cut labels and the screen printed graphics and the full colour graphics on the rear. We've got our inner sleeve with our maps and our drawer and the hidden treasure map inside, plus the foil and the patches. And then we're going to go into our outer sleeve with the lenticular and the cutout and the rub reveal. And we're going to go in this way. Got that stuck somewhere. There's the reveal. Then going back to our AV strip with the record arm and the etch badge, and the cutout on the back, and the anaglyph record, and the anaglyph graphics on the inside that lead you to our AR function. With the whole package going into the polyprop sleeve that's been printed to create our title. And then we address the whole thing into our mailer. Which again is holding our cards. There's the reinforced strip, the printed graphics, and the tape on top. All ready to go in the post. Again, I know we've refreshed this a lot during the video, but this is not just for vinyl. A lot of these ideas can be applied to all sorts of things that require paper, card, plastic packaging. We're interested in doing all sorts of things, and we're really interested in working with creative people that want to realise things that are difficult to realise but would be absolutely awesome to do. So if you've got a project in mind that you're in the middle of making, or you've got stock sat on the shelves that you feel like you missed a trick with, things like that, or a Kickstarter that you need different variants of the same thing, but your main manufacturing run needs to be one core thing and have someone else do the little bits and pieces. You know, there are printers out there that are not very accommodating to small things, and that's where we pick it up. We want to really help people at all levels realise really great product that can be environmentally conscious, politically conscious, or all the other consciousnesses that you can get. You know, whatever those confines are, we'll work with you and we'll find solutions for them. So send us an email, let us know what you're thinking, let us know what your products are, let us know those dreams that you want realised, and we'll start a conversation.